Identify yourself for the record, please,
Yes.
ma'am.
My name is Belinda Parker Brown. I'm with Louisiana United International. We are a civil, constitutional, human rights organization for good government. And this, you heard one of our media speak about St. Tammany Parish. Had this bill been in place, we would never had the opportunity to get the media's attention because our organization do our own internal investigation through public records requests. And that's how we got the media's attention to verify the factual information that we had gotten through public records. I want to say that we do not need this bill. It is not about the governor's security. It is about public scrutiny. And to all of you, if you are elected officials, you cannot be afraid of public scrutiny. And we as citizens, as people that is concerned about good government, especially here in the state of Louisiana, where we are known for cover-up, it's public records that I'm still waiting on. It's already very difficult to get public records. Okay? So, I want to say that strike this bill, SB 482, and we cannot allow Louisiana to be at a risk of violating the Louisiana state constitution, because that is exactly what this bill would do. So on that note, I want to say thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much for coming, ma'am. Please identify yourself for the record.
Stephen Procopio, the president of the Public Affairs Research Council of Louisiana. PAR was founded in 1950, and a large part of that was because of Governor Earl Long and the difficulty of getting any information out of there, including legislators couldn't get information out of them. And there were a bunch of citizens and citizens groups that said, you know, something needs to be done about that. And we have been a champion for public records since then. We have put in a red card on this bill, and we try very hard not to do that and make that very limited. But honestly, if I had the option to put in 5 red cards, I'd do that. This is a serious problem. And I don't doubt the intent of the author in trying to codify deliberative process. And I do understand the need for deliberative process. And there are current protections in law for deliberative process for the governor's office. But what this does is it takes a line from a decision about deliberative process, and it removes it from the context and all the jurisprudence that follows it and all the tests that have to be done, and it puts it in here. So no longer would you have to go and say, okay, look, here are the qualifications met, here are the case and the facts, and in this case, deliberative process should exist. Now it's just this, hey, records that reflect advisory opinions, recommendations, deliberations, they're not allowed. So deliberative process goes out the window, and it's just the lines in law that become what the criteria is. And so all of the other case law that can protect the citizen's right to know are now gone. So you're missing things like a timeline. So after a certain amount of time that they would be allowed. That's not in here. You're missing final decisions. So you're like, oh, look, this doesn't say once the deliberations are done. It says anything related to deliberations are now protected and off limits. It also doesn't take any boundaries in terms of, well, okay, is it just the governor speaking to his staff? It is an example, which is protected now. But if now you have interagency discussions with a government agency and a nonprofit or business, because there's no boundaries here in terms of what, it doesn't say deliberative process, it just says anything that's going to affect a process by which decisions are made. I want you to imagine the next time, and it's unfortunately a matter of time before we have another major disaster, and people want to know exactly why decisions were made, why resources were deployed, and then they're not getting answers, and then they come to y'all And your answer is, well, it's a deliberate process. It's in the law. And they're not able to find out why decisions were made in a disaster. I pity y'all when that happens. I would like to be able to find something that could work, but I don't think this is the instrument to do it. I'd be happy to work with anyone, any authors, including the author of this bill, between now and the next session. But I think there are far-reaching consequences, because this isn't just the governor's office, as was stated. This is every state agency, every local agency, the Sewage and Water Board, anything that exists. Now this very broad language would apply to all of them. It is a serious problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Please identify yourself.
My name is Bishop Freddie Phillips. I represent Louisiana Auctioneers, Professional Association of Auctioneers, but I'm also here because I've seen a lot, I've heard a lot, and I've been a part of a lot. Things that happen in Louisiana state government. I've been around from the earlier days of Jill Newman, Press Robinson, and guys of that nature from the north side of Baton Rouge. And I've put in a lot of FOIA requests on privileged information that I would not have gotten, just like y'all passed out that amendment paper. Well, I felt that I was lacking the privilege of knowing what was on it because I couldn't read it. I mean, it disturbed me that introduction of bills that we have to make decisions on were not given to us prior to. And then you got to look at the political chicanery of the equation that happens as a result of that. I mean, right now you're trying to take away the privilege of the public and make it private, when nobody can access that information at any time after, if this bill is ever passed. I mean, there were things that I discovered by FOIA requests that I would not have known had I not had the privilege to do so. So what I test is the intent of the heart. If you have no wrong and no guile in you, then what do you have to hide from the public? I mean, we are all, I'm a pastor, so I scrutinize my life every day. I swim against the current every day. And I look at myself to say, would I want someone to know something about me that I don't want them to know? Well, don't do what you don't want them to know. You won't have to worry about them knowing what you do. This is what it seems like. It's trying to protect someone from getting exposed. Yeah, I don't know all the deals that go on behind closed doors, but I know a bunch of them do. And I don't know what's legitimate and what's not legitimate. You know, I've been knocked out of the circle because I had bids out there and I just felt like I was undermined. But if I don't have the Freedom of Information Act to be able to pull that information and see whether or not it was valid, then I felt like I'm being slighted. You know, the big fish swallow up the little fish and nobody gets a chance to eat at the table, because that's what it sounds like here.
All right. Well, thank you
Write
very
the
much,
bill.
Reverend. Thank the three of you.